Hello, my name is Trey Soto. Thank you so much for coming to this presentation for Communication 4050, which is Communication Society under Professor David Taylor. My name is Trey Soto, and thank you so much for coming. This assignment is the Mini-Ethnography presentation, which is the final one of the class, and should be focusing and will be focusing on the Miller Lite Corporation, or Miller Coolers, as what they're called, or the brewing company, Miller Brewing Company. And this is focusing on specifically on an ad of their 2-year-long campaign in 2010, which was called Man Up. So before I begin, this is going to be a shift from introducing the assignment to pitching to the company as if I were at the company's headquarters. So with that, let's begin. So a brief history. Miller Coors was founded in 1855 by Friedrich John Miller from Germany, and it since then became the product that we all know it today. In 1975, the Miller Lite brand was added, which was a 12-ounce can of 96 calories, and became very well known among the Miller Lite brand and all of those who consumed our products. That said, in the 2000s, specifically the late 2000s, early 2010s, advertising began to change as culture began to change, as we focused on a specific demographic that we wanted to target, which was men, and focusing on the hyper-masculinity. Now, from 2010 to 2012, as many of us know, we had the Man Up campaign that was launched, resulting in targeting exclusively towards men about drinking Miller's light beer and saying that it was better than other light beers because it was seen as masculine enough. And those who did not in the ad were either berated with comments such as, "Oh, that's the second unmanly thing you've done today," or "Call me when you come get a Miller Lite beer when you put down your man purse or your skinny jeans," or anything of that sort. We see this berating among friends in the ads. We see this berating among bartenders to customers in the ads, so on and so forth. And I think in many ways, all of us know that advertisement does not always represent reality. Now, I say always because in many ways, advertisement generally tries to aim towards reality. That said, not always does, and in many ways definitely does not, whatever the intentions may be. So advertisement does not always represent reality, but in many ways can represent a rather distorted view of reality. So which leads to the question, do men in this ad represent the modern American male? The ad that was specifically chosen was in 2011 regarding 4 friends and their girlfriends getting drinks, and the one man in the middle, as we've seen this image below, who is being berated by the group for getting a light beer that isn't necessarily Miller's Light. And they were berating with, "Oh, Miller has better taste. What were you thinking? Why don't you get a better drink? That's the second unmanly thing you've done today," which the first being on a roller coaster where he screamed like a, quote, little girl, and thus was seen as unmanly. And even in the ads themselves, as the end tagline, "Man up and get yourself a drink. Miller's Light tastes greatness." So in all of this, it really comes down to the question, what are we saying about our targeted audience? Do we best reflect their interests in adult beverages? What does this product allude to? Are we really representing male men as they should be, let alone modern male men? So in our discussion method, we focused on ethnography, which is the scientific description of how audiences behave by observing them in real life situations. The ethnography method that was chosen was interviews through surveys. This is a timeless data, which is one-on-one. It was with a diverse group of people. And we just really wanted to get to know those people one-on-one with a survey, and not just any survey, but one that had open-ended questions. So for example, we asked the research question, as we see in the previous slide, do men in this ad represent the modern American male? And when they strongly agree or strongly disagree, we also ask them an open-ended question, please explain the answer above, which allows them to be more open and honest in their opinion and to really understand what it is they have to say, merely than just clicking an A or B questionnaire. And so our informats were chosen based off of race, gender, preference, and age. And the results were, in many ways somewhat surprising. And I think they may surprise all of you as well. So for example, on analysis description, we had Eric K, Rachel T, Ariana B, Gary H, Kelsey O. A lot of these groups were roughly in their 20s and 30s from diverse backgrounds of ethnicity, and also very diverse in the gender groups. And as we've said previously, our results were a little surprising. Ooh. Come on. Here we go. So analysis result, this is regarding our question. There was a lot of division over this. We saw them that actually agreed, and some of those who actually agreed were in many ways surprising, and others that actually neither disagreed or agreed and just saw it as, I think it's up to the interpretation of the audience, but we'll get to that in just a second. Needless to say, there was division in this ad. So, for example, Eric T., who is a male and he's in his 30s, basically disagreed with the ad to state that beer preference isn't typically that frowned upon in contrast with the ad. To his credit, I think in many ways he's right. Now, granted, we all have our preferences in drink, assuming we enjoy an alcoholic beverage. That said, I don't think there is much as berating as we make it out to be. Rachel T. also focused on agreeing with the ad to a great surprise and seeing it as this is just men being trivial with each other, especially in the United States, how there is a big joke about masculinity, specifically to her white American men. However, Kelsey O saw the ad as problematic, knowing many friends or colleagues who grew up with the man up like livelihood and have since then moved on greatly from the idea by embracing emotions and vulnerability. Thus, the ad today doesn't really represent men, but rather is very problematic and doing the exact opposite. Ariana V also displayed a rather disagree or agree in terms of men typically want to be seen as young feminine attributes. Men typically don't want to be seen as masculine and see expressing attributes as being soft, beta, or anything related to LGBTQ+. In many ways, as she's describing that men or women as a whole also want to be seen as someone who's confident, someone who can make their own decisions, and the idea of looking soft is seen as problematic or difficult, especially in a place like the United States. So I think she's coming from a very interesting background that this ad, while it is in some ways false, also displays that this is how Americans tend to be, typically speaking, and wanting to fit in. Gary H. also focused on this as well regarding the differences in age. And he was specifically focusing on the older generation may not only appeal to these characterizations, but brush it off as seen as funny or comical. Thus, it really isn't a problem. Whereas the younger generation like us today may see these commercials not only as problematic, but ill-representative of who we really are as men and as people as a whole. And a big thing to notice about all the participants that they are all coming from the 20s and 30s. So they all grew up with these ads in between high school and college. So these ads were consistent in their lives, and now they're all adults having bigger and deeper opinions about said ads, not just related to us, but maybe to other corporations as well. So what are future improvements that we could probably see for the better of the company? We could probably do another round of interviews, but instead of one-on-ones, we could do focus groups. This could lead to more authentic openings within groups to see if people agree or disagree all together. So for example, we have a group of white men in the room versus people of color in another, or white women, so on and so forth, to see what they think of as a group compared to just being a one-on-one individual. And so that said, that may leave some room for probably some setbacks as well, but it doesn't hurt to try. And I think in many ways, it could lead to more than what we just get on a one-on-one basis. For more time and accuracy, I think we could have had better figures in terms of the older generation and more accuracy to planning, but things happen and we could definitely use that a second time around. So thank you so much for coming to this presentation. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know and help us build your brand and corporation to a better standard. Thanks so much.